Kyrie Irving is a free agent this offseason, and the reports are that he is expected to test free agency to get the best offer. The Mavericks are 5-11 when Luka and Kyrie play together. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games.
Oh,
They're
this is about to
currently
get nasty.
38-42 on the season. The Mavericks are at an inflection point where last year the team that got them to the conference finals was rock solid, but it was very limited. They didn't have a prolific enough number 2. And so they sacrificed that solid foundation they had. It was enough, but not quite NBA championship caliber to bring in Kyrie and Christian Wood. And what they've come to realize this season is, great teams win championships, not great players. I look at Kyrie in Dallas and I say to myself, well, he did just force Kevin Durant and James Harden out of Brooklyn. He did blow up that team this year when it was their best chance to win a championship. Now, that was because he wanted to get paid. But in the years preceding that, when he did have a contract, what did Kyrie Irving do? He missed almost half of his games. In the playoffs, he was injured, and he was unreliable. In the Celtics series, for as much as we don't talk about Kevin Durant, or for as much as we talk about Kevin Durant not being a good passer and struggling versus Celtics, Kyrie was much worse in that series. He was great in game 1, then had a matador defensive effort, giving up a game winner to Jason Tatum, and the 3 games after that, he played poorly. Kyrie Irving, to me, is a great player. He's one of the top 25 players in the game. Efficiency, just the eye test, it pops. But Kyrie has not made one of his teams better since Cleveland in 2017 with LeBron James. In Boston, they got better and they went further without him starting Terry Rozier. In Brooklyn, when Kevin Durant was out, they fell off a cliff. And now in Dallas, they have a decision to make. The only star on the market that really makes sense from a production standpoint, because Chris Middleton's got his issues, you're not bringing back Porzingis, is Kyrie Irving. But should the Mavericks extend Kyrie Irving? I think the answer is no. I think the Dallas Mavericks are more likely to lose Luka Doncic if they extend Kyrie for 3 or 4 years than they are to actually keep Luka if they let Kyrie go. Because the moment you commit to Kyrie Irving long-term, you're now doubling down the initial mistake you made, which was, number 1, letting Jalen Brunson go, not evaluating your talent properly, not seeing into the future with foresight, knowing if we let JB go, we don't have a better option. But now you're doubling down the mistake of building around Luka the most unreliable star complement. And I think for Dallas, you've seen this season, you don't have much flexibility. Now, you're probably going to get a top 10 pick if you miss the playoffs, which could help you trade that to get a better wing player to complement off of those 2 guards. I think the Mavericks should really consider moving off them this offseason for a sign trade. If you can get some win versatility and 2-way upside, that to me profiles a lot better off Luka, because it's not just about finding a prolific enough number of scorer that won't have the cumbersome burden of being Luka's complement. It's finding someone that gives you versatility, is going to be reliable, especially in the playoffs, but also someone with a scalable enough skill set off the ball. And I don't think Kyrie is a match-made fit with Luka Doncic.
Here's the problem. 2 things. Actually, 3 things. 3 things. One is it's a lot easier to go find those guys than to actually go find those guys right now. Because right now to be fair, the Mavericks weren't even supposed to be in the conference finals last year. Let's be real here. They weren't good enough to be on that level anyway. So you haven't found that star that can help Luka get to the promised land yet. So you don't even know what works next to him yet. Because Jalen Brunson was good, but I don't think, one, you weren't going to have the cap space to sign another guy to help propel you to another level either way. So right now, you don't know if it's another guard or it's a big that you need. Not even another big, because you have KP next to him. You don't know if it's a 3-point shooter big or a traditional big. You don't know what fits next to Luka to get you to that promised land anyway. So you already have a premier offensive talent, Kyrie. So I can understand why it's very hard to already have that in your hands and then to say walk away again, especially and then may have a replay of the Jalen Brunson all over. Now Luka's alone the entire part of next season, because this year's free agency class isn't even that great, and you don't have the trade pieces outside of like Josh Green and Jaden Hardy. And I don't know if you want to trade the youngest pieces you have on your team to build around Luka with right now, especially when their trade value could probably get much higher if you let them develop a little bit more. 2, I think you're being a little bit disingenuous when it comes to Kyrie in certain situations here. Did Boston get better without him, or were they just a little bit more cohesive without him when they were?
They're more
say
cohesive.
replace him with Terry. Yeah, but they weren't a better team with him. And again, you heard Kyrie talk about those Boston years. It was a lot more stuff happening other than basketball, which is the reason why that team sucked. Or not even sucked, but the reason why they lost the way they did. Like, and I think when you look at it that way, and you look at the Brooklyn situation right now with him and KD and how they lost that year, yes, he sucked, but I'm not gonna put too much stock in Kyrie sucking when KD also sucked ass too. And then you look at this year when KD went down, they were 4-6 when KD went down. I don't think that's falling off a cliff. Your best player is down. You're still able to at least somewhat keep close to 500 before. Now that's before he left again, but still. So right now, I understand where you're coming from. That yes, you may need. I understand where you're coming from in the sense that probably, maybe Kyrie isn't the guy, and I don't think he's gonna resign with that. He's probably gonna have to force to resign with Dallas because I don't think LA is gonna offer him a contract like that anymore since they have the team they do now. And Ryan, I don't think there's a team in the NBA that's gonna give him more than a 3-year contract. I don't think nobody's gonna give him a 4 or 5 year. So I think Dallas right now, especially with young Luka and giving Jaden Hardy and Josh Green a little bit more time to develop, I think you do give him that 3-year contract. You give him the 3 years, 90 mil or 100, whatever it is. Keep him there. See what the peak for this is, and at least then, if they're not winning, but Kyrie's not performing, but at least he's staying on the court, and hopefully there's not any other issues. He has enough trade value that you can use him for something else at that point. But I think letting him walk right now, free agency for nothing, is the worst thing you can do. The absolute worst.
Do you want to say something,
I think
John?
you
Go ahead if you want to. You want me to go? Okay. So what do I think of Kyrie and what the Dallas Mavericks should do? I mean, first off, John, I love how you finally come to my side of the table to understand that I was right from the beginning when this trade was happened. I said it's not going to work, and you're like, "Well,
oh yeah. I said it wasn't gonna work.
You can't.
I
You can't
at
make
least was right on that one.
So
I said it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah. No, Romain was right too, along with me. So I mean, great minds think alike. John, you gotta come. You're a little late to the party, but better late than never. I always say, right? What I'll say about this, because it's a two-folded thing. It's kind of a double-edged sword, which I've noticed about the Dallas Mavericks. I'll talk about Kyrie first. Kyrie can be very helpful to a team, but as of late, like John pointed out, he has not been. They've actually been better without him on the court. So where Kyrie goes next, I'm going to be honest, I don't know, and I don't really care at this point anymore because this jolly-go-lucky attitude of we're just happy with our effort. I mean, at least we know Kyrie's happy with being a loser, guys, right? I've never seen a happier loser. To be honest, with you. That's great. A great effort's great and all, but when this is not the time and place to be saying that. It's the same thing with that video that came out with in the Lakers locker room where LeBron's giving this speech. We gotta be great.
Russ is like, let's have fun.
Like, oh, one more thing, guys. We just gotta have fun. Like, and I came on to this show and I said, I respect and understand where Russ is coming from, and that's great. Always go out there and have fun. But at that moment, it's not the time and place, man. Y'all are trash. Your record is shit, and y'all need to get your stuff together. And LeBron's trying to get you guys to go greedy, as in we gotta take what we know. We great. We got to take what's ours. They taking stuff off our plate. So with the Kyrie thing, it's not the time and place. Now on to Luka. Luka is starting. They're starting to become a trend. And I don't think you can ignore this at this point.
I know where you're going, and I think it's unfair.
Rick Carlisle gone.
Oh, never mind.
Now we got because it's gonna go into a two-way situation. Now we got Jason Kidd. And John, I think even as far as a week or two ago, was saying Jason Kidd should be on the hot seat if they don't make the playoffs this season. Yeah, now he's kind of going back. Oh, maybe not. Yeah,
no, I do think your Jason Kidd should be on the hot seat.
Yeah, should be fired. Okay, if that happens, that's 2 head coaches. Luka, we had KP. It ain't work, and his complaint was I didn't get the ball enough. Jalen Brunson, it worked a little bit. Then he left though. Now we got Kyrie, and it's really not working. At some point, the common denominator is going to come out. Now, I'm not saying Luka's the main problem. I'm saying he's part of the problem. He ain't the solution. Okay,
Isn't the common denominator poor management though, and not?
it
Luka?
could be poor management too, but Luka's also there. He's the main guy. I'm kind of starting to look at Luka in his insane talent. I'm not saying he's not a top 10 player in the world because he is. He is freaking God gifted ability without the athleticism too, which kind of makes it even more impressive.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy about that is that he has some underrated athleticism too. He can get up. He has a 39-inch vertical. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but
39?
for the most
Really?
part,
Yes.
for the most part, he's not looked at as an athletic prowess. He uses more of his brain to beat you. But I'm starting to look at him more as a James Harden type, where in Houston, can you be effective without the ball? Are you good on defense? So really, all you're bringing to the table is you need the ball in your hand prominently. Everything has to run through you. I don't think that's a success for a championship team, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I do agree with you on the point where Luka off the ball has a good amount of work to do. He doesn't have that pop LeBron does where he can just dive to the rim and it's such an impact play without it in his hands going downhill. But first off, they traded Kristaps Porzingis because they didn't want to extend him. They knew where it was going, where Kristaps had just gotten hurt again. And while there were some concerns, he didn't like gain lack of touches, and that was frustrating. He was a great rim protector for them. It was just, who wants to give Kristaps Porzingis, a 7'3" player with a lengthy injury history, a 3-year extension, which he's going to be doing a year? Now that's the Wizards' problem. Those fools are probably going to pay him out the wazoo, and they're going to be stuck to that deteriorating asset. Jalen Brunson fit well off of Luka. And Luka, while he wasn't playing off of Brunson, was helping Jalen Brunson get better off the ball. I think the issue is that they let Brunson go. And then that's where the coaches, Rick Carlisle, wanted to leave because there were a couple of different clashes going on within the organization. With Jason Kidd, I don't think that's the Luka problem as much as it is Jason Kidd was brought in to maximize Luka, and I don't think he's done a good job at that. JaVale McGee, who they signed on the mid-level exception, he was given a promise to be in the rotation. He's given them nothing this year. And JaVale McGee a year ago with Monty Williams was huge for the Suns.
The problem with it is, the thing with Len Jaden, but the thing with Mavs is that they've just been so freaking stuck with some of this because you let Jalen Brunson walk, yes. But the problem with that is that even if you re-signed him, you're gonna come back with the same team next year, or even worse team next year.
I agree with that. I agree with your
So
point.
now, you have no way.
Just so much.
Yeah, you capped your ceiling off no matter if you signed him or not. You knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's no real weight to actually think. And I guess people can be like, you made the conference final, sign him back. You're not getting back there again because you got lucky in Phoenix. I'm not gonna lie, you got lucky that Phoenix was the team that you played that was that good. But it just overall, the Mavs are just a little stuck.